What do you see when you watch a master in combat? Most see only the flash of movement, the explosive power, the perfect technique. They chase these things endlessly, believing them to be the essence of martial arts. But my friend, they are seeing only the shadow, not the substance. In my journey through martial arts, I discovered something that changed everything. The ancient masters didn't choose the dragon as their symbol for its power alone. No, they saw something far more profound, something that most practitioners spend their entire lives missing. You know this hunger, don't you? I see it in your eyes, the same fire that consumed me for years, the desperate drive to master every technique, to become unbeatable. But let me ask you something. What if everything you're striving for is actually holding you back? What if true mastery isn't about what you gain, but what you strip away? Today, I share with you the way of the dragon, not as another set of techniques to memorize, but as a path to complete liberation. Through years of intense study, of breaking down every barrier, of questioning every tradition, I uncovered what the dragon truly represents. It's not just a symbol of martial arts. It's a key to understanding the very essence of human potential. Are you prepared to look beyond the obvious? To understand what the ancient masters encoded in the way of the dragon? This isn't about learning how to fight better. It's about awakening to a truth that will transform every aspect of your life. We begin now, not with techniques, but with understanding. The wisdom of the dragon isn't found in power alone. It lies in the perfect balance of opposing forces, in the unity of apparent contradictions. It's about becoming like water while containing the power of a tempest, about finding stillness in motion and motion in stillness. What I'm about to share with you isn't just another philosophy. It's the distillation of countless hours of practice, meditation, and discovery. The dragon's way reveals itself differently to each seeker, but its fundamental truths remain eternal. These aren't just ideas to be understood. They're truths to be experienced, lived, and embodied. Let me show you what I discovered about the true meaning of the dragon's way. You might wonder why, of all creatures, I chose the dragon as the symbol of ultimate martial truth. In my earliest days of training, I too saw it as just another symbol, another tradition passed down without question. But as I delved deeper into my studies, something extraordinary began to reveal itself. You see, in Chinese philosophy, the dragon isn't like other creatures. It has no fixed form. It can soar through clouds or dive into the deepest oceans. It can be as vast as the heavens or as small as a silkworm. This formlessness, this infinite adaptability, this is the first key to understanding its profound wisdom. My own journey toward this understanding wasn't easy. For years, I trained in traditional styles, mastering forms, perfecting techniques. I became proficient, yes, but something was missing. I felt trapped by the very systems I had mastered. It was like trying to capture the ocean in a cup. The more I tried to contain it, the more it slipped away. Then one day, while meditating on the nature of combat, I had a revelation. The greatest limitation in martial arts isn't your opponent, it's your own mind. We become so attached to our styles, our techniques, our ways of thinking, that we imprison ourselves in invisible cages. The dragon showed me a different way. Think about water for a moment. Like the dragon, it has no constant shape. pour it into a cup, it becomes the cup. Put it into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. Let it freeze, and it becomes as hard as stone. Allow it to heat, and it becomes as ethereal as mist. This ability to adapt, to transform, to flow, this is the essence of the dragon's way. But this journey of transformation I'm inviting you to undertake, it won't be easy. It requires more than just physical training. It demands that you question everything you think you know about martial arts. You must be willing to break free from the comfort of fixed patterns, to enter a state of constant discovery and renewal. The path ahead will challenge not just your body, but your entire way of thinking. We'll explore principles that may seem contradictory at first. How softness overcomes hardness, how limitation gives birth to freedom, how emptiness leads to mastery. These aren't mere philosophical concepts. They are practical truths that will transform your martial arts and your life. What lies ahead is not just a set of techniques or principles to memorize. It's a complete transformation of how you approach combat, movement, and ultimately, life itself. The Dragon's Way is not about adding more knowledge. It's about stripping away everything that prevents you from expressing your true potential. As we proceed, remember, the dragon is not just a symbol of power, but of complete liberation. It represents the freedom to respond to any situation without the burden of preconceived notions. This is the transformation that awaits you, from a practitioner bound by style to a martial artist free to express their true nature. Let us begin this journey of transformation together. Let us begin with the first principle of the dragon's power, the unity of strength and flexibility. Most martial artists make a critical mistake. They believe they must choose between being strong or being flexible. They train to become either like oak, rigid and powerful, or like grass, supple and yielding. But in doing so, they miss the profound truth that the dragon embodies. Consider how a dragon moves. In one moment, it can coil with devastating power, concentrating force that could shatter stone. In the next instant, it flows like silk in the wind, yielding and redirecting energy with effortless grace. This isn't a contradiction. It's the essence of true power. I discovered this truth through years of intensive training. When you rely solely on strength, you become predictable, limited. Your power, though impressive, becomes your prison. When you depend only on flexibility, you lack the substance to express your art fully. True mastery lies in transcending this artificial division. Think of a steel cable bridge spanning a vast chasm. Its strength doesn't come from rigidity alone. It's strong precisely because it can flex. When powerful winds blow, the bridge yields, yet never loses its fundamental integrity. This is the unity we seek, the ability to be unshakably strong while remaining supremely adaptable. This principle applies to every aspect of combat. When you punch, there must be steel within silk, relaxation that carries power, power that doesn't create tension. Your body must learn to be like a whip, loose and flexible in motion, yet capable of delivering devastating force at the point of impact. But understand, this unity isn't achieved by practicing strength one day and flexibility another. They must be developed simultaneously, each quality enhancing the other. When you train, every movement should contain both elements, the coiled power of the dragon and its flowing grace. The secret lies in understanding that true strength isn't about muscle tension. It's about the ability to generate and direct power while remaining relaxed. Similarly, real flexibility isn't about how far you can stretch. It's about how efficiently you can adapt and respond to any situation. I spent years unlearning the habit of choosing between strength and flexibility. The breakthrough came when I realized they are not opposing forces, but complementary aspects of the same power. Like yin and yang, they create wholeness through their union. This principle extends beyond physical technique. In combat, you must be able to shift instantly between solid and fluid states. Your defense should contain the seeds of attack, your attack the essence of defense. This is how the dragon moves, each aspect flowing into its opposite, creating a complete expression of martial power. Remember, the goal isn't to become either strong or flexible. It's to transcend the distinction entirely. When you truly embody this principle, your movements will carry both qualities simultaneously. You become like the dragon, capable of expressing ultimate power through perfect adaptability. Now we come to the second principle of the dragon's way, elemental mastery. In ancient wisdom, the dragon commanded all elements, water, fire, air, and earth. But this isn't mere mythology. It contains a profound truth about complete martial arts mastery. Most fighters excel in one domain. They become specialists, powerful strikers who fear the ground, or skilled grapplers who struggle at a distance. They are like a fish that can only swim, or a bird that can only fly. But the dragon moves through all domains with equal mastery. I spent years studying how combat changes at different ranges. Close range, middle distance, long range. Each has its own rhythm, its own truth. Most martial artists find their comfort zone and stay there. But true mastery requires something more. The ability to flow seamlessly between these ranges, to be equally powerful in each domain. Think about water again. At different temperatures, it becomes steam, liquid, or ice. Yet its essential nature remains unchanged. This is how you must learn to adapt. Whether you're throwing a kick at long range, striking in close combat, or grappling on the ground, your fundamental principles should remain constant, while your expression changes to match the situation. But elemental mastery goes beyond just fighting ranges. You must learn to adapt to any environment, any condition. Fighting on hard ground is different from soft earth. Moving in open space is different from confined areas. The dragon's way teaches you to turn any environment to your advantage, to find opportunity in any situation. Many practitioners train only in their comfortable environment, the dojo, the gym, always the same conditions. But real combat doesn't choose its arena. You must learn to flow like water, adapting instantly to whatever environment you find yourself in. The ground becomes your friend. Confined spaces become your ally. Every element becomes a tool in your arsenal. This principle taught me something profound about adaptation. It's not enough to know many techniques. You must understand the underlying principles that govern movement and combat in every domain. When you grasp these principles, you can generate appropriate techniques spontaneously, responding perfectly to any situation. The key lies in understanding that these elements, these different ranges and environments, are not separate realms to be mastered independently. They are interconnected aspects of a single reality. Like the dragon moving from sea to sky, your transition between them should be smooth, natural, without hesitation. In practice, this means developing what I call environmental awareness, a constant sensitivity to space, distance, terrain, and opportunity. You must learn to read these elements instantly, to feel how they influence combat, and to adapt your strategy accordingly. Whether the space is wide or narrow, the ground hard or soft, you remain equally effective. Remember, the goal isn't to become good at everything separately, but to understand the underlying principles that unite all aspects of combat. When you truly grasp this, you become like the dragon, at home in every domain, master of all elements, able to adapt and flow without losing your essential power. Now, as we've explored these physical principles, the unity of strength and flexibility, and the mastery of elements, you might wonder, is this all there is to the dragon's way? But remember what I told you at the beginning. We're looking beyond the obvious, beyond the merely physical. Consider this. When a dragon moves between sea and sky, between earth and air, is it merely changing its physical form? No. Each transition requires not just physical adaptation, but a complete shift in awareness, in understanding, in consciousness itself. This is where most martial artists stop their journey. They master the physical principles, but fail to grasp the deeper truth. Every physical action begins in the mind. The body cannot express what the mind hasn't first conceived. The unity of strength and flexibility we discussed, it must exist in your thinking before it can exist in your movement. I remember the exact moment this truth revealed itself to me. I was training intensely, pushing my body to its limits, when suddenly I realized my physical limitations weren't in my muscles or bones. They were in my thoughts, my preconceptions, my mental patterns. The body can only go as far as the mind allows it. This brings us to a crucial understanding. The physical principles we've discussed are actually gateways to something far more profound. When you truly understand the concept of flowing between elements, you begin to see how this applies, not just to combat ranges, but to every aspect of life. The ability to adapt, to flow, to maintain power through change. These are mental qualities as much as physical ones. What we're approaching now is the heart of the dragon's way, the realm where physical and mental become one. In the moments ahead, we'll explore how these same principles operate on a deeper level, how the mind, like the body, must learn to be both powerful and flexible, how your consciousness, like your physical presence, must master different elements and environments. The journey becomes more challenging from here, but infinitely more rewarding. We're moving beyond the realm of mere technique into the domain of true mastery, where body and mind unite, where physical principles become mental truths, where the dragon's way reveals its deepest secrets. Are you ready to take this next step? To explore how these physical principles transform into mental powers? To understand how the dragon's way transcends the boundaries between body and mind? Then let us proceed to the next level of understanding. We now enter the realm of mental mastery through our third principle, adaptive consciousness. This principle reveals one of the dragon's most profound secrets, the ability to maintain absolute peace while being ready for explosive action. Many believe these states are opposites, but in truth, they are one and the same. Most martial artists exist in one of two states, either tense and ready for combat, or relaxed but unprepared. They oscillate between anxiety and complacency, never finding the perfect balance. But the dragon teaches us something remarkable. The highest state of readiness is found in perfect tranquility. Think of a calm lake that perfectly reflects the moon. The surface is absolutely still, yet within its depths, currents move with tremendous power. This is the state of mind we seek, complete serenity that contains unlimited potential for action. When your consciousness achieves this state, you become capable of instant response without tension, explosive action without preparation. I discovered this truth through countless hours of meditation and combat. The mind, like the body, must learn to remain relaxed under pressure. But this relaxation isn't passive. It's a state of heightened awareness, of complete readiness. It's the difference between being relaxed and being ready relaxed. This adaptive consciousness manifests in 3 levels. First, there is awareness, the ability to perceive everything without fixating on anything. Your mind becomes like a mirror, reflecting all without holding on to any single image. Second comes readiness, the capacity to respond instantly without preconception or hesitation. And third is emptiness, the state where your mind is free from both tension and thought, yet filled with infinite potential. Mental preparation takes on a new meaning in this context. It's not about psyching yourself up or rehearsing scenarios. It's about cultivating a mind that remains clear and responsive in any situation. Like water that takes the shape of any container while retaining its essential nature, your consciousness must learn to adapt without losing its center. This principle revolutionizes strategic thinking. Most strategists try to predict and control future events. But true strategic mastery comes from developing a mind so adaptable that it requires no prediction. You become capable of responding appropriately to whatever arises, without the burden of preconception or the limitation of planned responses. The key to developing this adaptive consciousness lies in understanding that peace and action are not separate states. Every moment of peace contains the potential for action, and every action should emerge from a place of peace. This is how the dragon maintains its serene power, not by switching between states, but by transcending the distinction entirely. In practice, this means cultivating what I call the ready mind, a state of relaxed awareness that needs no preparation to act. Your consciousness becomes like the surface of that calm lake, unmoving yet alive with potential. When action is needed, it emerges naturally without hesitation or tension, then returns to stillness without residue. This is the true meaning of mental mastery in the dragon's way. Not the ability to switch between peace and action, but the wisdom to understand that at their highest level, they are the same thing. When you embody this principle, your mind becomes truly adaptive, capable of meeting any situation with both perfect peace and perfect readiness. Now we arrive at the 4th principle, what I call the formless form. This principle led me to develop Jeet Kune. But understand, Jeet Kune itself is not a style. It is a liberation from style. It is the way of the intercepting fist, yes, but more importantly, it is the way of breaking free from all preconceptions about what martial arts should be. Think about this. Why do martial arts have styles? They exist because someone, somewhere, had success fighting in a particular way. They codified their methods, created a system, passed it down. But in doing so, they often trapped truth in a cage of tradition. They turned living art into dead patterns. This was my great revelation. Truth in combat cannot be found in any fixed form. combat is alive, ever-changing, fluid like water. When you become bound by style, you become predictable. When you become predictable, you become defeatable. The dragon shows us a better way. It has no fixed form, yet can assume any form necessary. In my years of training, I saw how martial artists became slaves to their styles. They would force situations to fit their techniques, rather than adapting their response to the situation. This is like trying to use a hammer for every task, even when you need a screwdriver. The formless form teaches us to be like water, capable of being anything, yet bound by nothing. This principle goes beyond merely combining different styles. Many practitioners think they achieve formlessness by learning multiple styles. But this is like having several cups instead of one. You're still trapped by form, just more forms. True formlessness means understanding that all forms are limiting, that real freedom comes from transcending form altogether. This is why in Jeet Kune we say, using no way as way, having no limitation as limitation. It sounds paradoxical, but this is the essence of true martial freedom. When you abandon the security of fixed forms, you discover something remarkable, your own truth, your own expression, your own way of moving and fighting that is uniquely yours. But understand, formlessness doesn't mean chaos. It doesn't mean lacking structure or discipline. Instead, it means having such deep understanding of principles that you no longer need the crutch of predetermined forms. You become capable of spontaneous, appropriate response to any situation, unbound by style or system. This principle requires tremendous courage. It's easier to follow a path than to create your own. It's more comfortable to imitate than to express. But the dragon teaches us that true mastery lies in authentic expression, in discovering and manifesting your own truth in combat and in life. The ultimate goal is what I call honest expression. When you face combat without the barrier of style, without the limitation of form, you express yourself honestly, directly, appropriately. Your response emerges naturally from the situation, like water flowing downhill, finding the most efficient path without needing to think about it. This is the true meaning of formless form, not the absence of structure, but the transcendence of it. Not ignorance of traditional ways, but liberation from them. When you embody this principle, you become like the dragon, boundless, adaptable, free to express your martial truth in its purest form. Now, my friend, let us see how these principles unite in actual combat. Imagine a moment of confrontation. Your opponent stands before you. In this instant, everything we've discussed must become one unified reality, not separate principles. The unity of strength and flexibility manifests in your stance. Relaxed yet ready, soft yet powerful. Your consciousness adapts instantly, like the surface of that calm lake we discussed, reflecting everything while clinging to nothing. This is where physical and mental principles become one. In combat, you cannot think, now I will be strong, now I will be flexible. You cannot say, now I will adapt to this range, now I will change my strategy. Everything must flow as one continuous expression. The physical adaptability we discussed merges with the mental formlessness. Your body and mind move as one unit, without separation, without hesitation. This is where the true power of the dragon's way reveals itself. When an attack comes, you don't respond with a technique from this style or that system. Your response emerges naturally, born from the perfect unity of physical capability and mental freedom. Like water finding its path, your action is both inevitable and completely spontaneous. The principles we discussed are not separate tools to be used one at a time. They are aspects of a single truth. The strength, flexibility, unity is inseparable from elemental mastery. The adaptive consciousness flows naturally into formless form. In real combat, in real life, these distinctions disappear entirely. This is the peak of martial arts mastery, when all principles unite into one seamless expression of your fighting truth. There is no more thinking about principles or techniques. There is only direct, honest expression. Your body knows the truth of the dragon's way. Your mind understands the freedom of formlessness. Together they create something beyond mere combat effectiveness. They create artistry in motion. But remember, this integration isn't just for fighting. These unified principles apply to every challenge you face, every obstacle you must overcome. The dragon's way is a complete approach to living, to expressing your true potential in any situation. This is the doorway to our final exploration, how these integrated principles lead us to the ultimate goal, spiritual liberation. Are you ready to take this final step? Now we ascend to the highest realm of the dragon's way, internal power. But let me be clear, I'm not speaking of mystical energy or supernatural force. I'm talking about something far more profound, the power that emerges when body, mind, and spirit function as one perfect unit. Most martial artists never discover this level of power because they look for it in the wrong place. They try to find it through more intense physical training, through harder punches, through stronger muscles. But true internal power isn't about physical force. It's about perfect unity of your entire being. Think about how a tiny seed can crack concrete as it grows. It doesn't use brute force. It employs something far more powerful, the natural expression of its entire being, working in perfect harmony. This is the kind of power we're discussing. Not the power of tension, but the power of complete integration. I discovered this truth through years of experimentation. I found that when body, mind, and spirit align perfectly, a different kind of power emerges. Your movements become effortless, yet devastating. Your techniques carry force that seems to defy physical explanation. But there's no mystery here. It's simply the result of complete integration. This internal power manifests in three ways. First, there's structural power, when every part of your body works in perfect coordination, supporting and amplifying each other's force. Second, there's mental power, when your intent and action become one, without the delay of thought. Third, there's spiritual power, when your entire being moves with absolute conviction and purpose. The cultivation of this power requires a different kind of training. Instead of building more muscle, you learn to remove internal obstacles. Instead of adding tension, you eliminate resistance. Instead of forcing power out, you learn to let power flow through you naturally. It's not about becoming stronger, it's about becoming more integrated. Consider how a dragon moves in mythology. Its entire being moves as one perfect unit. There's no separation between intention and action, between mind and body. This is what we strive for, not by adding something new, but by removing the artificial divisions we've created within ourselves. This principle reveals the true meaning of mind-body-spirit unity. It's not just a philosophical concept. It's a practical reality that manifests in every movement, every technique, every response. When you achieve this unity, your power comes not from any single aspect of your being, but from the perfect coordination of all aspects. The key to developing this power lies in understanding that it's always present within you. You don't need to create it. You need to uncover it. Like a sculptor removing excess stone to reveal the statue within. You must remove the tension, the doubt, the internal conflicts that prevent this natural power from expressing itself. This is the deeper truth of internal power in the dragon's way. It's not about becoming something different, but about revealing what was always there. When you understand this, your training transforms. Every movement becomes an expression of unity. Every technique a manifestation of complete integration. Every action a demonstration of your entire being moving as one. We arrive now at the final principle of the dragon's way, ultimate freedom. Everything we've discussed, the physical principles, the mental mastery, the internal power, all of it leads to this singular truth. True martial arts mastery is complete liberation. But what is this freedom I speak of? It's not just freedom of movement, though that's part of it. It's not just freedom from restrictive styles, though that's included. It's not even just freedom of mind, though that's essential. The freedom I'm talking about is total liberation from every limitation, every boundary, every constraint that prevents you from expressing your absolute potential. Think about what truly limits you in combat, in training, in life. Is it really your opponent, your physical capabilities, your technical knowledge? No. The deepest limitations are the ones you've accepted in your mind. The boundaries you believe are real. The constraints you think are unchangeable. I discovered this truth at the peak of my technical mastery. I had mastered techniques, understood principles, developed power. But something still held me back. Then I realized I was still fighting myself, still trying to live up to an image of what a martial artist should be, still trapped by my own expectations. True freedom comes when you finally understand this. There is no fixed way you must be. There is no standard you must meet. There is no tradition you must follow. There is only your truth, waiting to be expressed. This is what the dragon symbolizes. Not just power or wisdom, but complete liberation from all artificial constraints. This freedom manifests in every aspect of your art. In combat, you no longer think about what technique to use. You simply express what needs to be expressed. In training, you no longer force yourself to fit a mold. You develop in accordance with your own nature. In life, you no longer separate your art from your being. They become one seamless expression. But understand, this freedom comes with profound responsibility. When you break free from all limitations, you must become your own guide. When you transcend all boundaries, you must find your own way. This isn't easy. It's far simpler to follow a path than to create your own. Far easier to imitate than to express. This is why so few reach this level of liberation. Not because it's technically difficult, but because it requires absolute honesty with yourself. It demands that you strip away every pretense, every borrowed idea, every adopted concept, until all that remains is your authentic self. The ultimate goal of the dragon's way is not to make you into something else. It's to free you to be entirely yourself. When you punch, it should be your punch, not a copy of someone else's. When you move, it should be your movement. not an imitation of a form. When you fight, it should be your truth expressing itself directly, without interference. This is the final secret of the dragon's way, that all our training, all our development, all our mastery is ultimately about one thing: liberating you to be absolutely, authentically, powerfully yourself. When you achieve this, you become like the dragon, completely free, bound by nothing, expressing your truth with total liberation. My friend, we've journeyed together through the depths of the dragon's way, from the unity of strength and flexibility, through the mastery of elements, into the realm of adaptive consciousness, beyond form itself, through internal power, and finally to complete liberation. But remember, these are not separate principles. They are different facets of one ultimate truth. In real combat, in real life, everything we've discussed happens simultaneously. The physical and mental unite. Internal power flows naturally. Freedom expresses itself spontaneously. Like the dragon itself, you become a living embodiment of these principles, not thinking about them, but expressing them naturally, completely, honestly. Think about how far we've come. We began by looking at power, but discovered that true power lies in unity. We explored adaptation, but found that real adaptation comes from formlessness. We sought mastery, but learned that ultimate mastery is liberation from the very concept of mastery itself. This is the profound truth of the dragon's way. All these principles, all these aspects, lead to one ultimate realization: that you already possess everything you need. The dragon's power isn't something you acquire. It's something you uncover. It's not about becoming something different. It's about revealing what you truly are. The ancient masters chose the dragon as their symbol, not just for its power or its wisdom, but because it represents the ultimate potential within each of us. Like the dragon, you have the capacity to be powerful, yet flexible, peaceful, yet dynamic, formed, yet formless. All of these qualities exist within you, waiting to be expressed. As you leave here today, carry this understanding with you. The dragon's way isn't just a method of fighting. It's a path to complete realization of your own nature. Every time you train, remember that you're not just developing techniques. You're uncovering your true potential. Every time you face a challenge, remember that you have within you the same limitless adaptability as the dragon. My final message to you is this: don't seek to become like the dragon. Realize that you already are the dragon. Your task is not to acquire something new, but to strip away everything that prevents you from expressing this truth. Let every movement, every response, every action be a pure expression of your authentic self. This is the ultimate purpose of all our training, all our development, all our seeking, to return to our original nature, free from limitation, free from constraint, free to express our truth with total liberation. This is the way of the dragon. This is your way. Remember, the journey doesn't end here. It begins anew with every moment, with every breath, with every action. Now go forth and express your truth